when Emily texted, "I'm in Paris. Don't wait for me." I stared at my phone long enough for the screen to black out twice. For a moment, I thought it was some kind of joke, something light, teasing, like the messages we used to send when love felt effortless. But the pit in my stomach told me this wasn't that. She left 3 days ago on what was supposed to be a short business trip to Chicago. We'd kissed goodbye at the door, her perfume lingering longer than the look in her eyes. I should have sensed something was wrong. Her suitcase was larger than usual. Her smile felt rehearsed, her words measured. Paris. I muttered aloud. My reflection on the phone screen stared back, hollow, confused. I didn't reply immediately. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, typing and deleting half a dozen versions of the same questions. Why? With who? How long? None of them seemed worth sending. I'd spent years asking questions she no longer wanted to answer. Instead, I set the phone down and let the silence stretch. The air felt heavier than it had in months. Our house had become an echo chamber of absence. Her voice, her laughter, her warmth, all gone, leaving only the faint scent of lavender and regret. We'd been married 9 years. 9 years trying to hold on to something she had already let go. There were signs, of course. Missed dinners, excuses that didn't add up, the way she began sleeping with her back to me as though I were a stranger she barely remembered inviting into her bed. I told myself it was stress, work, life, maybe even me. Perhaps I wasn't exciting enough, ambitious enough, spontaneous enough. But standing there in the dim kitchen reading that message, I realized it wasn't any of that. It was simple. She didn't love me anymore. I poured bourbon, the kind she always had smelled like old regrets, and sat by the window. Outside, the city lights flickered against the glass, reflecting a life I no longer recognized. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Please don't make this difficult, Ryan. I just need space. That word again, space. She'd been carving it out for over a year, leaving nothing to bridge the distance. I typed slowly. I won't. True. I wasn't going to make it difficult. I wouldn't chase her this time. I had done that long enough. Love shouldn't be a pursuit. It should be a choice. And she'd already made hers. For the first time in months, I felt something near calm. Not peace exactly, but clarity, the kind that burns before it heals. The next morning, I woke early, made coffee for one, and began gathering her things. Not out of anger, but finality. Her books, her favorite mug, the framed photo from our honeymoon in Santorini. I wrapped each piece carefully, handling the remnants of a story that had reached its final chapter. On her nightstand, I found the letter I had written months ago but never had the courage to give. Folded beneath an unfinished novel, I opened it. I miss the way we used to laugh without reason. I miss being your safe place. I miss us. I smiled faintly and folded it back. Those words belonged to a man who still believed love could fix what was already gone. By the time I set the last box by the door, my phone buzzed again. We should talk when I'm back. I stared at it, then typed, "You won't need to. The divorce papers will be waiting." I hit send. No hesitation. For once, the silence that followed didn't ache. It just was. The following days were strange and quiet. Emily was in Paris. I moved through our home like a man wandering a museum of memories that no longer belonged to him. Every drawer, every shelf, every photograph whispered a life that had once been full and now felt empty. Yet in that emptiness, there was a strange liberation, a clarity impossible while pretending. I went to work, kept my head down, and let routine anchor me. Colleagues asked questions. I gave vague answers. Business trip, I said. No one needed the truth yet. I wasn't ready to say it out loud. Not until the papers were signed, until her absence was etched in ink and law. 3 days later, I got the call I had been waiting for. Her lawyer, crisp and professional, with no trace of sympathy, confirmed it. "Mr. Bennett, your wife has authorized me to proceed with the divorce filing. You will receive the documents by the end of the week." I listened, nodding to myself. I didn't argue. I didn't try to reason. I acknowledged the process and let it move forward. This was her game. I would play it calmly, deliberately on my terms. When the paperwork arrived, I read each line meticulously, Assets, property, accounts. Cold legal language spelling the end of something that had once been warmth. A flicker of anger rose, but I let it pass. Anger is loud and messy. Clarity, I realized, is quiet and resolute. Over the following weeks, I sorted our finances, changed passwords, transferred shared accounts. Every move deliberate. I wasn't punishing her. I was respecting myself, reclaiming the life she no longer wanted to share. The night she returned from Paris, I didn't wake. She came home briefly, suitcase in hand, eyes darting for traces of the life she abandoned. I was already asleep on the couch, blanket tucked around me, a quiet smile on my face. Seeing her things gone, her expression flickered, shock, regret. Too little, too late. In those days alone, I learned something essential. Love doesn't die in a single act of betrayal. It fades slowly, quietly, in the absence of respect, attention, and care. Sometimes, the final act isn't confrontation. It's choosing to walk away, preserving your dignity, letting the past settle where it belongs. Friends called, some checking in, some offering advice. I listened, but guidance wasn't needed. The lesson was learned in silences, in half-hearted smiles, in final text messages. I spent time alone, rediscovering abandoned hobbies, lost routines, and parts of myself I had neglected. Mornings became mine again. Nights no longer stretched into exercises, in anticipation and disappointment. I could breathe. I could think. I could exist without someone else's shadow over every decision. When the divorce was finalized, it wasn't triumphant or dramatic. It was quiet, dignified, peaceful. I signed the papers, returned the copies, and felt closure that no argument, plea, or resentment could provide. For the first time in months, I kept my phone off. No notifications. No messages. Silence. In that silence, I understood something profound. I hadn't just survived the end of marriage. I had reclaimed myself. The house felt lighter, the air cleaner, the space open. I didn't need fireworks, grand gestures, or apologies. I needed clarity. And finally, I had it. Endings aren't always about pain. Sometimes they're about realization. That you can love someone and still leave when they no longer love you back. And that true respect means giving yourself the freedom to walk away. Quietly, with dignity intact, I poured a glass of whiskey, leaned back, and felt a calm I hadn't known in years. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't waiting. I was free. And in that freedom, I found what I hadn't realized I'd been missing: myself.